that we know well. They know us well. Those games are always tough. But the number one thing we want to get out of that was really to focus on us. And that's what the focus was all week. And when I say that, no disrespect to the Bears at all, but, man, what is our philosophy defensively when it comes to playing good defense? What is our identity that we want to put on tape every week? And we did that for the most part. When it comes to our philosophy, we want to limit points, right? And we got to 17, right? And that's what we want to get to. We want to take the ball away. We did that twice. And we want to win the situations. When I say situations, I'm talking about third down, which we did a good job of. Red zone, our guys, one thing, we really did a good job. 2 minutes where we failed, right? Usually a situation where we do a really good job in, and we gave a touchdown, right, in that situation. But for the most part, our guys did a really good job in that game. Going into San Francisco, a team with a winning pedigree, it's going to be a tough match. They have guys on that team with a lot of pride that's going to come out. Now they're going to play their asses off. But we're looking forward to this matchup.
How important was it to get Melifonwu back, to get that versatility back when maybe you needed it most with Carlton being down?
Listen, with so many guys that we have out, I mean, anytime we get another guy back, it always helps us. And if he's a guy that we can utilize in a number of packages, he can play the dime for us. He can play safety. He can play nickel. And we utilize him as a safety only in this game. There's other ways we want to utilize that player, but for him to come back, to use his blitz ability, his ability to cover, was really good for us. So I'm looking forward to utilizing that player going forward.
Did you go into that game expecting to use him as much as you did, or was it when you saw him out there and you saw how he was moving, you felt more comfortable expanding the role?
Well, I did. And just talking to him throughout the game, right, he was telling Coach, I'm ready to go. I'm good. So when he tells me that, I'm going to continue to push as far as I can.
From your perspective, what are keys in 2 minutes to be successful as a defense? Because sometimes, offensively, they're in hurry up and they're trying to force some issues. What are your keys to successful 2 minutes?
First off, understanding the situation. Every 2-minute situation is not the same, right? And that's something that our head coach does a really, really good job of during the week. We've actually done that more in the last couple of weeks than we've done throughout the season, which I really, really enjoy. Because it puts me in a situation to have to think on the fly and be able to give the guys a call and play accordingly. So, but that, knowing the situation as far as time and timeouts, understanding what that offense is trying to do and how they operate in a 2-minute situation, because every offense is different. Some have a set plays that they run, and if you understand what those plays are, it allows you to anticipate and be able to make plays. Some people just use their whole playbook, right? So we have to understand that. And then making sure the communication is on point, right? That's the number one thing in 2 minutes that usually gets defenses messed up is the communication, because there's tempo on offense. So the guys have to get the call, get lined up, and be able to execute. And I think our guys do a good job of that.
DB that had an increased workload was Amik. What did you think of his performance on Sunday?
Amik did a really good job for us. Listen, I know it was different because he's usually playing inside for us, but the thing is, throughout his career, he's played on the outside. So to him, it was like riding a bike, So he went out there, he competed. Man, I tell you what, he went after the ball quite a bit. I think he had 2 or 3 PBUs. The punch-outs that he showed in that game was outstanding, and that's what we try to do as a defense. And, again, we talked about that all week, of making sure we hunt the football, and he was one of the guys that did a really good job with that. So I was proud of the way he played. Continue to see him do the things that he did in this past game as we move forward.
What is it about his either skill set or maybe more importantly mentality that allowed him to do that so seamlessly, bounce from one to the other?
Listen, he's had that coming out of college. When you talk about the mentality, he's a pit bull. He's tough. He has a swagger about himself. He believes in himself no matter what the situation is. Get beat, don't get beat. I mean, he believes that he can cover anybody out there. And you like that within a corner, So he's had so many reps on the outside from his previous teams he's played for. Playing inside was something, I don't want to say new for him, all right, but for our defense it was new because the way he used our nickel. So for him to go back outside, it was easy for him.
I know versatility is something you preach and expect from your guys. When you branch back in the slot, back in the lineup, Amik outside, like when you see it play out like that, your message is being received, obviously.
No doubt, and you have to do what you got to do when you have these injuries, So here's the better way to say that is our guys are very selfless, and whatever they can do to help the team, they're willing to do it. Listen, Branch was having a really good, well, he is having a really good season playing safety for us, and for him to end up going back to the nickel spot doing something, I don't want to say totally different because we still played him in those situations, was really selfless of him. Right, Meek too, because there are some things that he liked about playing nickel, right? So we moved him on the outside. So, man, I'm excited about all our guys because they have a listen. Whatever we can do to help the team mentality, they're going to do it.
In terms of making adjustments with injuries, you've been doing the same thing at linebacker, especially since Enzo and Malcolm have gone out. Mix and matched a lot there. The last 2 weeks, you've gone with Ben Neiman pretty heavily, more so than you used him all year. He's been here all year. What has he done to maybe catch your eye in practice to earn that bigger role?
Well, what you said was key. He's been here all year, so he knows our system inside and out. And then there's different packages we want to use guys for. For example, Zeke. We're going to use Zeke in a ton of coverage situations because that's what he can do. And Ben can play every position. As far as linebacker, he can play the Sam, he can play the Mike, he can play the Will. So when you have a guy like that and there's movement that goes along, sometimes you don't have to flip guys. You can just let guys stay there. They can be the Mike or the Will and one before the motion. And then when the motion happened, they can end up being in a different spot. So those guys do a really good job of understanding that. And when you have guys like that, man, listen, you want to put them on the field.
49ers obviously lost some key players to injuries. What's still dangerous about their offense? They still get
Those powerful players that they have, like Kittle. I mean, he is a weapon. And when you watch him on tape, he looks even faster than he's been in his years. Man, he's going up and getting the ball. He's blocking. They're running the ball to him at the point of attack. To me, he's the best tight end in the game, right? And that's just who he is, all right? Then Debo, man, you watch him last week, man, he was a man on a mission. Right, against the Dolphins. Man, as many times they was getting in the ball in space and many tackles he was breaking. So he was the Debo of old that we've always seen. And then this quarterback, man, he's a guy that can just, he's surgical, with the way that he operates. So this is going to be a challenge for us. It really is. But I'll tell you what, our defense is looking forward to this challenge.
One more on Iffy, just watching the tape back, I mean, he just seemed like he was very vocal.
Say it again?
Iffy just seemed like he was very vocal in his communication, like he saw it really well. And obviously he's been in your scheme from the start. When you're plugging and playing a bunch of new pieces, how valuable is it to have somebody that's such a strong communicator to kind of hold that thing together for you?
Well, listen, I demand that out of our safeties as far as the communication part. Just like our Mike linebacker, they're really the linebackers of the secondary. And they have to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Listen, Iffy goes through every walkthrough. He's been in every meeting, so that doesn't surprise me. And I expect that from him anyway. He's a very intelligent player. Again, he plays a lot of different positions for us, so he has to be able to communicate at a high level. So being able to do that, coming back after in this game, man, I expected that.
What's the key to that focus on the road? How you guys were able to be so successful?
Just play. We're at home, we're on the road. We can run the ball, we can throw the ball, we can play defense. That's how we win.
How do you expect his presence now to help your defense?
Well, listen, I was with Teddy in New Orleans, and Teddy is one of the most vocal noise talkers that you ever have as a quarterback. And I'm excited about that. I really am, because it really brings a value to your defense as far as pissing your defensive guys off, all right, especially when he's out there throwing the ball around. So it was the same thing in New Orleans. He brought that mentality here. Everybody loves him, everybody. He's one of the best leaders I've ever seen. And it's something to that, to where you're not starting, but guys look at you as a leader of a team. And you don't get many guys like that, because it's usually your play is what some people look at as far as leadership. But, man, just the way that he carries himself, Just the way that he can talk to everybody on the team, from O-line, D-line, linebackers, DBs, running backs. It doesn't matter. He has a relationship with everybody on this team, and that's a special person. So I'm excited to have that player back. Yes, he's going to help us in all phases of the game. And I'm just looking forward to being going against him in practice.
San Francisco, it doesn't matter who's in their backfield. It seems like they run the ball really, really well. What is it about them conceptually that Kyle Shanahan kind of has them doing that allows them to run the ball no matter who they plug in back there?
Listen, I think it first starts off with the mentality of how they go about doing things. Listen, we know they're going to run it. They know they're going to run it. And their mentality is, listen, you're going to have to stop it. So it's a tough system, which requires tough men, which you have to be on your assignment to be able to stop it. And we know that. And if you look at the game from last year, I thought our guys did a really good job early. And then some other guys start to will themselves into making some plays. And that's what we have to really do this game. Our top guys have to out-will their top guys. And I'm looking forward